Thank you for joining us for our presentation, Template Analysis of Themes of Professionals' Perspectives from Aphasia Threads Relating to Living Successfully with Aphasia. This project examines the insights of professionals in what they believe is important for their clients to live successfully with aphasia. My name is Madelynn.
And my name is Elise. This research was completed during our undergraduate studies at Central Michigan University in Dr. Katie Strong's research lab. Madelynn and I are currently graduate students at Western Michigan University.
We'd like to introduce you to the rest of our research team. Emily, who is a second-year graduate student at Central Michigan University, Nick, who is a senior at Central Michigan University, and Dr. Strong, who is the director of our lab.
Madelynn and I are representing our team today. We planned to present our research last year at MSHA, but we did not get the opportunity to do so because of COVID-19.
Here is our poster. We would like to walk you through each section.
Let's start off with the background. Aphasia is a neurological disorder that is caused by irreversible damage from stroke or brain injury that affects the parts of the brain responsible for language production, language processing, speech, comprehension, reading, and writing. Aphasia affects approximately 2.5 million people in the US.
We read a study from Brown and colleagues in which 7 themes were identified from speech-language pathologist viewpoint regarding contributions to living successfully with aphasia. A few of the themes that emerged included participation, community engagement, communication, and meaningful relationships.
In this project, we aim to pinpoint which themes in the literature about living successfully with aphasia were most prevalent in self-reported stories by aphasia care professionals. Our intent was to find what components professionals thought were most important for their clients to live successfully with aphasia.
The National Aphasia Association started a project called Aphasia Threads, which is a story project for people with aphasia, caregivers, and professionals to share their aphasia stories. Today's presentation focuses on the stories from professionals.
Storytellers responded to prompts provided by the National Aphasia Association. Professionals were asked to tell a story related to what they have noticed when working with clients with aphasia, such as what are things that help, what do you encourage new professionals to learn, and what can people with aphasia and caregivers learn from you?
We analyzed 43 stories written by professionals that were submitted to the Aphasia Threads project. These stories were collected from January to December 2019.
Template analysis, which is a form of thematic analysis, was used following Brooks and colleagues' method. The template was developed using the themes found in the Brown et al. Study referenced earlier in this presentation.
The stories were coded by each of the student authors. To assure reliability, 2 coders reviewed each narrative. Coding disagreements were debated between coding partners and settled. Cases where agreement was not achieved were brought to all authors and discussed until consensus was obtained.
So let's get into what we found. We found all of Brown's themes in our analysis of the Aphasia Threads stories, as well as adding an additional theme.
Education and advocacy was added as a theme due to many of the accounts from professionals that included the importance of educating not only the family, but the general public about aphasia. Many accounts also included advocating for people with aphasia in their communities. This was our second most prevalent theme, as it appeared in 65% of aphasia stories.
Our most prevalent theme identified by professionals was the influences of SLP services. This theme highlights the importance of finding the right fit among a speech-language pathologist and a client with aphasia in order to create a supportive therapy environment. This theme was identified at least once in 91% of stories.
Our third most prevalent theme was communication. As we all know, communication is an important aspect of our lives and how we connect to others. This theme emphasizes not just verbal communication, but communication by any means necessary. It is important for people with aphasia to relearn how to communicate and use whatever strategies needed to get their message across, including alternative and augmentative communication. Many accounts discussed emerging technology with new apps that people with aphasia could use at home for practice or as AAC devices. This theme was prevalent in 60% of aphasia thread stories.
The next theme, personal factors, did not fall far behind with a 58% prevalence in the aphasia thread stories. Personal factors includes the client's attitude towards what has happened to them, therapy, and their life post-stroke. Many clinicians spoke about how important client motivation, positivity, and perseverance is to their success in therapy and quality of life.
We have included a few quotes taken from the stories of professionals in aphasia threads to highlight the most prevalent themes.
The most prevalent theme found was influences of SLP services. The quote reads, "Seek opportunities to be around people with aphasia, meet their caregivers. Learn about the impacts of aphasia on their lives, not only communicative, but social and emotional as well. Make it a point to take all of these factors into account when making treatment decisions."
The second most prevalent theme found was education and advocacy. The quote chosen for this theme is, "Advocate for those with aphasia. You can help make a difference and spread the word in your community, such as in hospitals, schools, or restaurants."
The third most prevalent theme found was communication. The quote reads, "Encouraging all forms of communication is key, and to keep the person involved in all aspects of communicating."
All of Brown's themes were found in the aphasia thread stories by professionals.
A key finding was how important relationship-centered care is to clinicians. 91% of stories included something about how important a supportive relationship between a client and therapist is to living successfully with aphasia.
Another key finding was how beneficial emerging technologies have been to professionals in assisting people with aphasia. Many spoke about the use of new apps as practice or communication tools at home for people with aphasia and the importance of finding a means to communicate.
Client motivation was also discussed by many professionals as being extremely important to therapy outcomes. As professionals, we need to find what is motivating for our clients and incorporate that into therapy.
Lastly, the additional theme, education and advocacy, found by researchers was very highly valued by clinicians. Many clinicians spoke about how many people with aphasia and their families had never heard of aphasia before. Many people with aphasia have identified the need for more advocacy in their communities, and it is essential that we aid them in this.
Future research could explore the varying priorities and preferences in treatment among people with aphasia, caregivers, and professionals.
Another research domain could be to explore the benefits of clinicians sharing their own stories and experiences in order to promote education and awareness of aphasia. Such findings may be insightful due to the abundance of professionals who mention the importance of education and advocacy in aphasia thread stories.
Lastly, future research could compare the themes found in aphasia thread stories from the professionals' perspectives to the themes found in aphasia thread stories from the clients' or caregivers' perspectives. This could help identify what is considered a priority from each perspective and how clinicians can consider how their priorities for therapy may differ from those of the family and the person with aphasia.
We are grateful to the National Aphasia Association for sponsoring the Aphasia Thread Story Project.
We would also like to thank the storytellers for sharing their experiences working with individuals impacted by aphasia.
A special thank you goes out to Dr. Strong's lab for help with coding and collaboration to complete this project.
We also want to give a huge thank you to Dr. Strong for providing us with so much support during this project.
If you are interested in finding more about our research, feel free to contact us or any of the authors at the emails shown here.
We also encourage you to visit www.strongstorylab.com to find out more information about lab members, alumni students, and Dr. Katie Strong.
Lastly, here is a list of references for this presentation. Thank you so much for listening.